How's everybody doing? Did everybody put their wish list into Santa? Has anybody done that? Younger ones, you're missing out. Oh, I see raised hands. Good. Santa knows. Okay. Good. We'll make sure Santa's got the word. I wanted to give you some interesting backstory on just how this Christmas concert, I had like this kind of excitement, nervous energy going up to it the week of. And so I decided on Tuesday to call Koichi, my buddy in headquarters. And I said, hey, Koichi, is there any chance you would like a trip to Florida? And happen to maybe film a Christmas concert while you're here, you know. And he said, let me get back to you. And then he got back to me in about a couple hours, and he said, I told the whole team about it, and everyone in the entire team here at headquarters wants to go. But we can't swing that, so we're gonna like rock, paper, scissors and see who gets to go. So it ended up that Luke from headquarters, who you've seen many times on the videos, a wonderful brother, and he came down here on a whim, right? But I gotta tell you, there was so many things, technical difficulties and so many things going on. It was insane. I'm not gonna tell you all of it because you don't want to worry anybody, but so many things went wrong. We were just like getting ready. One of the things was I got a call from Luke in the morning saying, hey, my flight's delayed. I said, no problem, wait for the next flight. And he said, okay, good. I'm catching the next flight. I'm going to land at around, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. I'm like, well, that's a little late, but that's okay. And then he calls me around around noon. He says, okay, Joe, I'm in Orlando. And he's like, I said, well, why are you there? He's like, well, I was going to get a layover flight to Miami. And I'm like, that's so weird. Why is he getting a layover? And so he calls like a half hour later, says, oh, my flight, I missed the transfer. I'm like, oh gosh, okay, calm, keep calm, positive, calm. This is gonna be a great Christmas. He says, oh, well, the flight got overbooked, and so I'm gonna catch the next flight. I'll find out when it is. I'm like, oh my God. So he missed another flight. And then I said, hey, by the way, how much is the flight? Because I would love to pay for the flight. I'd love to donate the flight. He said it was $794. Like, it doesn't. This is gonna be a great Christmas. He says, okay, I got a flight. I got the next flight. I said, when does it get here? He says 6:30 p.m. at Miami. I'm melting down on the inside, right? Everybody here, I'm just like vacuuming, making, on the inside of my body is like red alert, right? Sweating on the inside of my body. Not on the outside, on the inside. Finally, I get a call. He's like, never mind, I'm renting a car. I'm gonna drive all the way there. I said, okay, God bless you, but thank you. He's like, I'm going to get there at 4 p.m., okay? I'm going to get there at 4. I'm going to go drive straight to, not straight to Orlando. From Orlando, I'm going to rent a car. I get a call, and the band was all here when I got this call. This is too much. I get a call at 5. He said he's going to be here at 4. I get a call at 5. He's like, Joe, I'm here. Where are you? I said, I'm here. He's like, there's no parking. I said, there's a lot of parking. There's parking spots. I said, where are you? He's like, I'm next to the 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, where are you? He's like, I'm in downtown Miami. I'm like, oh my goodness. I checked the address. I clicked what I sent him. It was perfect. I sent him the address and the flyer just to because I didn't trust myself. And I'm telling you, just everything that could have gone wrong just went wrong here. And then he drove up and he got here at 6:30 or something, and he finally made it. And then I knew, okay, it's gonna be awesome. We made it. That was the hard part. The concert was so easy compared to that. Just getting the video guy here. Amazing. It was so amazing. When he got here, he was like walking like this. Can you imagine? Orlando to Miami to here. It was insane. It was so insane. Actually, I'm going to embarrass him just a little bit. We can delete this part out of the video if you want. I'm going to embarrass him. We went to breakfast, and he said, I said, man, I'm so sorry you ended up in Miami. You know, I was like, and then, I'll double check the link next time, even though I kind of knew the address I thought was right. He's like, yeah, I'm telling you. And he opened his phone. He went to the address that I sent him. He clicked the link, and he said, see, when it opens up, it shows Miami. And he clicks it, and it opens up, and it was right here in Plantation. It was perfect. So something just happened. I don't know what it was. The link worked the next day. So that's what happened leading up to Christmas. So I knew it was going to be amazing when you pay that much price leading up to it, right? It's going to be awesome. Many other things happened too, but we won't go into those. So I'm really happy that we had so many guests, so many people, and I just felt like it was really bringing a tribe feel to South Florida, right? Like connecting to our surroundings. People that I work with were here. I had musician buddies here. My musician buddy brought his wife and her grandparents that raised her. It was just so sweet, and they won the drone. So it was so sweet. I just loved it so much. So I wanted to talk about giving, the generosity spirit of Christmas. I've been thinking about that a lot, and I thought about something I learned recently, and I don't have the technical language. I'm sorry, but I was kind of researching it. I can't remember the exact scientific name now, but there's more and more science that shows that actually when you give, you just get happiness from it. You just do. And it's actually on a neurological level. I believe the term that I saw was mirror neurons. Maybe Google that and find the real term. Mirror neurons. And it's actually molecules, neurons in your body that actually imagine, they anticipate and imagine the joy that you're going to feel when you get the present. And they actually mirror the exact kind of joy that the person is getting out of it. So it's not like, oh, I just like giving. It's like, no, you actually have, an electromagnetic type of simpatico with them. You're actually going to feel the same joy they're feeling to a certain extent. And so this idea of you give and then you shall receive is actually not quite right in a sense. You're receiving as you're giving. You're going to get something just from giving. So there's a couple of common phrases like give and then you shall receive, or it's better to give than to receive. We've all heard that one, right? But as we go further and deeper into scientific realization and even divine principle that kind of teaches us that it's actually a circle. It doesn't really happen in little steps. It could be very fluid. Giving can be a form of receiving in some way. So I was thinking about this. Better to give than to receive doesn't make sense because you're getting something out of giving, scientifically proven. And the other one is give and then you shall receive. That's a little, I want to look at that a little bit because it kind of builds in the idea that I'm going to give because I want to receive, right? And what happens when you give? Well, then the tally in your mind of what you're supposed to get back gets bigger, right? I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving and something's going to come back. Well, it's okay because I'll guess give more and I guess I'll get more later. And what you might find is that you'll give and give for years and years on end, and then at some point in life, you're just ready to receive. I've been giving and giving and giving and giving. I'm done. I'm on strike. That's it. I was thinking about this because God never stops giving to us. And so if you think about it, if just because of the evidence of Adam and Eve, right, the two people, just that alone proves that we're actually designed to endlessly give. We're designed to give, and then die. Well, I mean, you go into the spirit world. You don't really die. But you give. It's endless giving. Endless giving is actually what we're designed to do. Now, the thing is, the way I say that might sound a little bit like, oh, daunting, like, oh, I'll never stop giving. But actually, the real thing is if you're exhausted from too much giving, there might actually be other things going on. One is you might be expecting too much in return. You might be expecting a certain form of return, right? And the other thing is you may not be very good at receiving. You might be thinking I'm giving, but maybe you don't know how to receive. Because people will come across, I really believe that if you give, it will work. It's the laws of nature, the laws of God, that you do receive. But if you're not good at receiving, you might miss those. You might miss those things, those chances to catch up and nourish. So I kind of, in a weird way, I want to talk more about receiving than giving. Because I think we know a lot about the morality of giving. It's good for you. But how about receiving? I think it's kind of funny to put receiving in the, well, if you're receiving, it's less points, and if you're giving, it's more points. Well, how is anybody going to be a giving person if there is nobody that's going to be a receiving person? That doesn't make sense. How can I buy you a cup of coffee if you're just unwilling to take my cup of coffee, right? Somebody needs to be receiving. So actually, it's our job to learn both. It's our job to learn both well, gracefully, and put it in balance. And I was thinking about this. If receiving is worse than giving, then we're in so much debt we'll never repay because God's giving to us all the time, right? He's giving to us all the time, sunlight, air, water. You can't get out of this debt. You just can't get out. So receiving has to be holy. Receiving must be holy because giving is holy. So they're equal. They're equal. And that's why I don't like the give then receive or better to give than receive. Maybe there's a different way to look at it. I think God wants to just keep giving. I really hope he's not up there tallying for humanity and just saying, all right, I'm cashing in. Where's my return? We'd be sunk, right? God just wants to keep giving. And actually, think about it. If you won the lotto, I'm assuming most of us would just give a lot of it to people. Our families, set up our parents, set up our families. I would definitely want to set up my mom and dad with a house. What would you do with that lotto ticket? You'd give so much of it. And God is so much bigger than a lotto ticket. So he must want to give everything he's got to us. And if you're not good at receiving, how's God going to give you all that stuff? So I really believe that God wants to give you everything you want. With the right motivation, centered on the right things, God really does want to give. God's designed to do that. We need to be good at noticing when God's giving to us and receive gracefully. I don't think God, this note just came to me this morning, I don't think God cares how much you receive. I don't think he cares. How did he work with King David? He was rich. How did he work with Solomon? These guys were loaded. He wasn't tallying it up and saying, well, it's better to give than receive, and you've been receiving way too much. I can't work with you. I don't think he cares how much you receive. I think the point is as long as you're giving back. Keep that flow happening, right? That's something I really admired about Reverend Moon. No matter the trajectory of success and projects going on in the world, you would read stories about how he would only use the smallest towel and not own a bunch of big towels. So are you just keep the giving cycle going? That's the point. If you need to receive some more, I think God's right there to give it to you. And I want to tie in something kind of practical, something I learned a few months ago, and I've been using it a lot. It's a very practical little trick. It's like if you think receiving is bad, it's kind of like you're trying to make up for something that you need. Actually, God's always there to give you what you need. And I want to use this little trick, teach it to you. I was kind of learning about how to self-nurture and self-compassion. How do you fill yourself up so you can keep giving? And this one book I read suggested, how about you treat yourself like an employee? There's an employee version of you and there's a boss version of you. And if you're feeling unmotivated and I can't do something, how about you play this little role in your mind? There's a boss you and an employee you. There's an employee Joe and a boss Joe. And how do you motivate employee Joe? Employee Joe is lazy and not doing anything right now. Well, boss Joe needs to figure out a solution. Hey, I know you haven't rested enough, but if you do this project today, I'm going to give you an ice cream cone. And employee Joe goes, ooh, ice cream. And you know what? I've used this with Keishu. She's kind of busy setting something up right now, but I've used this. I said, you know what? I told employee Joe I would get ice cream, so I'm going to get ice cream right now. And she's like, okay, because I told her about the trick and it really works. If boss Joe tells employee Joe, you power through the night, you get these emails done, and I'll give you an ice cream. If you finish the project, you better follow through to employee Joe or he's going to get mad. You better follow through. You can do it. So, hey, if I do this, I'm going to treat myself to a cheeseburger at my favorite spot or an ice cream cone or whatever it is, that extra coffee. And then you better do it. If you get that project done, don't be a bad boss. So the book I was reading says, sometimes we're thinking, oh, we're lazy, I can't get motivated. It's a thinking of, oh, I'm a crappy employee kind of mindset. But he said, no, maybe you're a crappy boss. Maybe you're not motivating yourself. And in a way, that's kind of like self-receiving, self-compassion, self-nurture. There's a boss part of you that has to own this and say, hey, I'm going to treat you to this. It's on me. And I thought that was very interesting. I've been using it a lot. Actually, I used it a lot this week. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Five Guys. I don't care. Because this is work. So I wanted to pass that along in sort of this nature, in this sort of lens of it's actually quite okay to get nourished, rejuvenate yourself, and you can use this kind of mentality. And if you felt like you gave too much, you're probably exhausted because you expected the return in a certain way and it didn't come back. Or you expected and they tried to give you back and you didn't receive well. You didn't know how to receive it. So just a couple things about this that I want to share with you. Please go. We have lots of things on the program today. We have special musical selections for you that you're going to love. And so I don't want to be up here too long, but I just wanted to leave that with you. As you're thinking about how to give to others, also be completely okay with the fact that the give and take cycle is a circle, and that the opposite direction is just as important as the first direction, and that you can receive and give somebody so much joy. Give them the joy of giving too, right? As long as it's not too imbalanced. You know, your conscience will tell you when it's too much one way or the other. And so treat yourself and treat your family this Christmas to a great, great time. And then we could celebrate God with that joy, don't you think? All right. Amen and adieu. Thank you very much, guys.